Alright, so anybody who's ever been in a car with me, carpooling, or maybe when I'm on a date with somebody, everybody who's been in the car with me knows that I don't like to park near the entrances of the building. And it comes down to a frustration I had multiple times in times past. I'm very sensitive to cigarette smoke. And I would hate to open my door if there's somebody smoking nearby. So I would come out from the shopping mall or from the grocery store, and somebody would be hanging outside my car smoking. And it doesn't look like they're ever going to stop. Sometimes they smoke one after another. You got to remember, back in Seattle, the people who are still smoking today, they love their cigarettes. I mean, the people who want to quit have mostly quit over in Seattle. So I would very politely ask them if they could please step away from my car so I could open the door. You know, I'm not telling them not to smoke or anything. I guess the problem is that because usually I'll be a good distance away from them, right? Anybody who's as sensitive to cigarette smoke as I am knows it takes a lot more than 6 feet of social distancing, right? So maybe I'm shouting a little bit louder than normal, and I'm saying, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you mind taking your smoking elsewhere? That's my car over there, and I don't want to get smoke in my car. Usually I'll make the excuse that the car belongs to a family member, and they don't want smoke in there. Something like that. And I would say a good percentage of the time, usually it goes well, but a good percentage of the time people get very defensive about that. And I'm thinking, why? I mean, the shopping mall is big. These people aren't disabled or something. If I went up to somebody in a wheelchair or clearly can't walk very far and I did this, okay, I should know better than that. I should have just waited for it. But it's usually not the case, right? I was working at a tech giant, actually. These are young professionals. He wasn't disabled. I very clearly asked him if he could just go to a different area in the parking lot. And he got very defensive about it. Anyway, so I made it a rule to try to avoid parking near places where people might hang out to smoke. And I just wrote it off as, why are these people crazy? For many years I thought these people were crazy until 2 years ago. What had happened was I was very depressed out of my mind 2 years ago because I had some relationship dramas. I love my single life, but at the same time I had a once-in-a-lifetime relationship, and now I was torn. And I developed major depression, and I developed an addiction as a result. Eating disorder, binge eating, compulsive eating. Now, here's the funny thing. When I was compulsively eating, and when nothing was getting in my way of compulsively eating, I never felt like I had a problem. The problem would be, let me talk about a few stories that I run into. I would go to there used to be a grocery store that I would love to go to, and they had a cafeteria. I would get something to heat up in the microwave, right? My favorite Amy's frozen meals. I would get it, and something would happen. The grocery store was out of the plastic utensils. I had to go up to somebody and had to deal with, and I would get angry at these people for slowing me down to get to my favorite food. Now, I wasn't angry at that person. I was angry that the situation was forcing me to realize what I was doing to myself. And it all made sense to me why those people have been so defensive with me in years past. And, that's a good thing. Now that I think about it, when people get defensive like that, that's a good thing. That's a sign that at least they recognize that smoking wasn't the best thing in the world for themselves, right? If these people were happy about it and talking about how much they smoke, they must love smoking. I would venture a guess that all those people who were defensive at me all those years ago, this was 5 years ago that we're talking about now, I would venture a guess that a percentage of them probably don't smoke anymore. Maybe not the majority, but I wouldn't be surprised. Because the attitude they had was they realized what they were doing to themselves. That's a very good first step, actually. And so it made me realize that you can hide your bad habits from everybody else in the world, but you can never hide them from yourself.